And you can see really the power from such a simple command. It's pulling a lot of packages in the background that I don't even have to worry about. All I need to worry about is I want to get this package, and under normal circumstances, all these packages would have to be installed to your system environment, therefore polluting your system environment with everything, and oftentimes you don't even know what's being installed. Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you a really cool project that's been around for about a month, maybe a bit longer. It's from tea.xyz. One of the founders is actually the creator of Homebrew. So back in 2009, Homebrew, package manager for the macOS system, kind of revolutionized development on your local machine. And Tea is kind of the logical successor. It's a universal package manager, but it's so much more than that. It's an entire infrastructure. So it comes with a virtual environment manager. It comes with a universal interpreter. And the cool thing is it doesn't even install packages into your system file. Instead, it installs them in a relocatable folder so that you don't pollute your system software at all. And there's no dependency clash with any of your existing software. So let's dive in and check out what the project is all about. So there's two main projects that I want to focus on. The first one, if we go here to the GitHub org, you'll see that, you can read this by yourself, but basically it's all about, bringing the open source ecosystem really closer to the developers and, building a tool so that you can have all the access to open source in this neat package. Well, the first project is the tea.xyz, and the second that I'll touch on in a later video is the pantry, and this is kind of the package registry, so everything where it's being installed to. But let's dive into the tea.xyz, and typically, without further ado, I'd love to, jump into the getting started stuff. But I think because the README is so well written, and it really tells a story about why this should exist and why this is different from, any other package manager. So we will see that, it's got about, more than 4,000 stars already within a month of its first launch. Over 250 forks, 103 releases. So they're really going fast. And I love this. It's still pre-version 1. So, you can expect more releases to happen. We're already on minor version 17.1 to be exact. And the biggest game changer is really that Tea doesn't install any packages. Instead, they stow them in this folder on your home directory called .t. And you might have seen many other .dot folders on your home directory, whether it's npm global or yarn or any other environment manager that you might have. But Tea is very different. Whenever you call kind of when you install a package with the +t notation, so in this case t plus node.js.org, it's actually downloading the package from the registry and stowing them here in this folder. We'll see this when we run through a live example and actually installing the tea.xyz. However, I wanted to also show you that Tea is a universal interpreter. So, for example, we can call Tea and then a Go file that's just sitting on the internet. In this case, it's hosted by GitHub's Gist. And just because we know that the extension ends with .go, it actually knows that we need Go as an interpreter in order to run this. It will download all the dependencies to kind of run Go and Go itself, of course, and then run your file. This is also extensible with kind of front matter YAML, where you can specify the exact dependencies that are required to run, let's say, a bash file. And then it's a virtual environment manager. So T understands which dependencies are required for your project, whether it's reading that from the README or whether it already understands them within the environment that you're in. So it installs them and actually prepends the .t .t directory with that specific dependencies that's required in your path. So it doesn't even go to your system files, but it really just looks for the T installed packages first before it touches any of your system files. So that way you can be sure that you're running the Dino version that you need for this particular project or any other dependencies. Executable Markdown is another cool feature. So it understands and can read README files. So you can basically type in any GitHub URL, and as long as there is a script under the getting started header in the README, it can run that. If there is a dependency, kind of like a dependency table, it can also install these dependencies for you in advance. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, and I want to just show you how this kind of like getting started, how do you install T in the first place? And there's really two ways of using T. One is installing T directly into your system. And from then on, you have the T command, at your fingertips. You can call on the entire T universe and, do all kinds of shenanigans, whether it's scripting or, just enhancing your development workflow. And the other is if you just, want to try out T, or for some reason you cannot install T right now, and but you want to execute it maybe on a server. There's also a one-liner kind of like abstraction that doesn't require you to install it directly, but instead can execute still the same type of interpretation, whether it's a file on the internet or a script on the internet. And that's actually how I would love to start, because I think that's a great example to show. So right here we have this like curl tea.xyz and then a file. And this is a example file for color logging different hello world expressions. And if we actually look at the file, what you'll see is, it's just a console log with different colors. It's a .ts file. And just to make sure that I don't have any T installed, you'll see it command not found. But if I type this in, or if I copy it, what happens actually, in the background, it will query the latest version of T, fetch it for me, install it in a temporary directory on your computer. For Mac, it's the var folders directory. And then it executes with all the required dependencies. As you can see, it installed Dino here, version 1.29.1, and it executed flawlessly my script. So again, I still don't have T installed, but if we kind of like go into this directory here, what we can see is that it actually installed all the required dependencies. So T itself, Dino, and Charm, which is right here, what is a color library for terminal. Great. So this is one version, but of course, if you're like me, you want to just call T and not have, to remember curl tea.xyz all the time. So if I type in this will actually prompt the install script for T, and it will tell me exactly what it will do. It will put everything into a .t folder on my home directory. It will install everything there, and it won't touch anything else, so no system files are being polluted. Sounds great. So it's fetching T, the latest version. We can see where it was installed to. So it was installed to the .t directory and in a tea.xyz namespace. Finally, it asks me to symlink this version of T to my local bin so that I have access to it, anytime I start off my terminal and anytime I, want it wherever I am in my terminal. So I'll allow it. That's the only time it will ask actually for your root password to do sudo. Other than that, it will solely install stuff and read stuff from the .t folder. Perfect. And finally, there's some magic one-liner in my config file, my shell config file. So I'll allow this as well. And voila, we're done. That's the installation. And if I type T, for example, I can see that T is now available. It's got a little helpful usage guide, I would say, what I can do with T. But I'd like to try out this example here. And I'll go through what happens here exactly. So first we invoke T, right? The same way that we could just write curl tea.xyz. But since we have T installed, we can use T. Then what we'll do is we'll invoke the syntax with the plus here, where we specify which particular package we want. In this case, we want to get the wget package out of the gnu.org fully qualified domain. So that's the namespace where this particular package lives under. And gnu.org hosts a whole bunch of packages for C compilers, etc. So wget is just one of the packages that lives under this namespace right here. And we specify that we need this package for our in order to execute the next package command, which is wget, and then we're getting the markdown version of the white paper from the website of tea.xyz. This whole thing we're piping into another T command. So we can combine two different T commands here. And here we're getting a different project, a different package from the charm.sh namespace called glow. And glow is a kind of markdown interpreter for your terminal. And we're piping in the results from the first T command. So when we execute this, we see that T is actually installing, went a bit too fast. T is actually installing a couple things. So OpenSSL, because that's a dependency for wget. Even though it doesn't tell you here directly that it's a dependency of wget, it still needs to be installed. Then it's installing the glow package, and finally it's installing the wget package. And then it's rendered right in your terminal. So this is the entire white paper of T. I made a video about this back in May, so happy to jump into this video as well if you'd like. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What we can do is we can actually look at what happened and where the stuff got installed to. So if we go into our T directory and I have a shortcut, actually it's lsla, you see that there's 4 packages installed. The charm.sh, the gnu.org, the openssl.org, and the tea.xyz. These are not specifically packages, but more like namespaces, so they can hold multiple packages. For example, the charm.sh contains 2 packages at the moment. The gnu.org only contains the wget package. And the OpenSSL contains also just one package, a different version, the 1.1.1s. Hate the naming of OpenSSL versions. Probably you do as much as I do. We were joking the other day, what will happen, once they get to letter Z? Are they going to start from the beginning? Anyway, I'm drifting. So this is all that's being installed here. And the T command is actually lives here inside the T package, the binary, lives here in tea.xyz. All right, another cool thing I want to show you is oftentimes you want to download maybe a video with, YouTube DL. It's a very popular package that you can either install, with Homebrew, but it's actually been packaged for tea as well. And we can have a look at where these packages live by going to, or by opening the tea.xyz var pantry and projects folder. So this actually shows you all the packages that are currently available and packaged for tea. And obviously you will have all your interpreters and compilers that you need, whether it's Rust, C, Ruby, Python, Dino, Node, everything is there. But there's also, very popular packages like YouTube DL, for example. And YouTube DL, that means it's available with a T command. So if I'm gonna run this, what I have to do is, let me just clear this right here. If I want to download something with YouTube and, I don't want to install YouTube DL on my machine because, I might just use it once a month, maybe once a year. So it's not often, but what I'll do is I'll type youtube.dl.org and then YouTube DL in order to, first I'm fetching the package and then I'm invoking the package. And here I've got my YouTube video about the white paper and I'm grabbing the URL and I'll type that in. And now what happens in the background is it's resolving the graph, it's searching for YouTube DL, it's installing all the dependencies in order to run YouTube DL. So we've got ncurses, readline, zlib, bzip, libffi, libexpect, expat, and so on and so forth. Finally, Python even. And you can see really the power from such a simple command. It's pulling a lot of packages in the background that I don't even have to worry about. All I need to worry about is I want to get this package. And, under normal circumstances, all these packages would have to be installed to your system environment, therefore polluting your system environment with everything. And oftentimes you don't even know what's being installed. Because all you care about really is the top level package that you actually want to use, like YouTube DL. But all these underlying packages here that might have conflicts with existing system libraries. So really using T, and you can see it's all being installed to the .t folder. And if I open it in a new, this is a long video, so it's going to take some time. But if I open a new console, I can look at the .t directory and can see that, all these packages are now available and stowed away here safely in this folder that it doesn't touch any of my system libraries. I'm not going to wait until this is downloaded because the video is 20 minutes or so. So this might take, a bit more than 3 minutes. I want to spare you this time, but rest assured, this is being downloaded to my whatever directory that I'm in. I could, of course, could have added different, output flags or something like that. Anything that the YouTube DL supports, we're not the T is not touching anything from YouTube DL. It's merely getting the package and all of its dependencies and then letting you run this package. And then once you're done, you can actually delete so let me just interrupt this right here. If you no longer want any of these packages or you feel like, you don't need them, you can just remove them from the .t directory and, they're gone. If there's another package that you're using that requires a previously deleted package, no problem. T will just fetch it for you. It will check if it's in your .t directory. If not, it will fetch them from the registry. All right. I think that was great. First look at the T CLI. I hope you learned something. I hope it's interesting. I'm gonna do another video, a second part, so to speak, about the entire registry. And this is kind of, the core of where all these packages live. This is where, these packages are being synthesized from, and they become available. And I'll also do a video about how to package for T. Because I think, if you're a developer and you have a specific need, you could use T for this, for example. So I'm using this in my development environment already. And yeah, I see you next video. And oh yeah, Merry Christmas, and yeah, have a Happy New Year.